Shavua Tov, everyone. Welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. I'm Rolene Marks, and I bring you those top stories making headlines in Israel. And we do this every Monday to Thursday right here. So check out a little later in this broadcast to find out where you can find our daily updates. But let's take a look at those top stories and the conversation around the death of Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akle continues. Now, Israel over the weekend announced that we will not be engaging in an investigation run by the military police. This is a story that has been picked up by the global media. However, the IDF have said they are continuing with an operational investigation into the circumstances which resulted in the death of Abu Akle. Now, the reason is simple. The IDF, first of all, don't want to subject soldiers to criminal kinds of questioning, and also it is not believed that the motive for her killing was anything other than a horrible accident. Meanwhile, the Palestinians still refuse to hand over the fatal bullet for ballistic testing or cooperate in a joint investigation with Israel. Over the weekend, 57 members of US Congress wrote a letter demanding that the FBI, or the State Department, which in a sense means the CIA, investigate or involve themselves in investigations over the killing. Israel's ambassador to the United States, Michael Herzog, sent a firmly worded response saying not only does Israel respect the freedom of all journalists and has a high ranking with regards to the freedom of the press, but Israel has offered at the outset a joint investigation which the Palestinians have refused to cooperate in, as well as handing over the fatal bullet. And from my opinion, any involvement from a foreign body such as the FBI or anybody like that sends a very dangerous message saying that it is okay for a foreign country to interfere in the domestic investigations and policies of another country. Meanwhile, earlier today, the Palestinian Authority announced that they have opened a report at the ICC, the International Criminal Court based in The Hague in the Netherlands, opening an investigation into Israel. And I just want to reiterate, the Palestinians have yet to hand over the fatal bullet for ballistic testing or cooperate on a joint investigation. The Palestinian coroner who conducted the autopsy on Abu Akle also said it is impossible to draw any kind of conclusive results as a result of the killing, and this does continue. Meanwhile, yesterday in Iran, it was reported that Colonel Qadayari, a high-ranking official within the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, was allegedly assassinated by two men on a motorbike who pumped 5 bullets into him. Now, nobody has claimed responsibility for the assassination, but Israel has said it is believed that Qadayari is responsible for planning the attacks and possible kidnappings of Israelis abroad. Prime Minister Bennett yesterday tweeted his congratulations to incoming Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Albanese, the leader of the Australian Labor Party, won the national election over the weekend. Now, over the last 9 years, relations between Israel and Australia have become stronger and stronger, with the latest positive move being the proscribing of terror organization Hamas. However, the Labour Party in its past has said that should they become successful in government and lead Australia, they will move to recognize a Palestinian state. Now, the Prime Minister says that he hopes to increase ties between our two countries and reiterated the strong bond between Australia and the State of Israel. And of course, we will be watching over the years to see how this relationship continues to progress. Yesterday, after a 2-year hiatus, 40,000 people are estimated to have taken to the streets of New York for the annual Celebrate Israel parade. And what a vibey parade it was, led by the New York Police Department on horseback, carrying flags, very, very festive, some very festive postings from police serving in the NYPD. But revelers were joined by Congressman Richie Torres, a great friend of Israel, as well as Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, and New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Also joining the revelers were some representatives from Israel, including our ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Gilad Erdan, Defense Minister Benny Gantz, who was in the States the last couple of days meeting with his counterpart, and Nachman Shai, the Minister of Diaspora Affairs, and Modi'in's own Mayor Chaim Bibas. Don't be away too long, Mayor Bibas. We miss you here in Modi'in, but really, really festive, and it makes a great change from some of the normal marches we see centered around Israel, waving flags that aren't blue and white and chanting some really insightful chants. So, kol hakavod, as we say here, well done to everybody who showed up to support the blue and white yesterday in Israel. And that brings us to the end of those top stories, but don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. We have some exciting new content, including an article by me looking at the hypocrisy of the global media covering the death of Shirin Abu Akle. We are also on Facebook. Our Facebook page is at Lottel Site. Please join our community by liking us, following us, and sharing our content. Get us past those dastardly Facebook content blockers by sharing our content. We are on YouTube. Our channel is at The Israel Brief, and we would love it if you click that big red subscribe button just underneath this video. It helps us to ensure that Israel's narrative gets out to as many people as possible, and we're on Twitter at Lay of the Land 5. And with that, I'm Rolene Marks. This is The Israel Brief. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to join me again tomorrow for your top stories.